Greetings to one and all. Today we have an unusual live guest, which is very nice. Welcome. And welcome to be my guest. Today we have Sri M.K. Angajan, comes from Pune, India. He sacrificed his promising engineering career and spent 11 years of his prime time of youth in an ashram in India, researching on Vedanta philosophy and Hindu scriptures and its practical applications on day-to-day living. Over a decade, Angajan has been traveling internationally to share his experiences, delivering discourses on Vedanta philosophy. He is a prolific and accomplished speaker on Vedanta, a management guru, life coach, and author. Angajan's books entitled Value System for Success and From Gods to Godheads, and a number of CDs and DVDs received world recognition. Angajan regularly addresses gathering across 5 continents. His scientific rationale, practical approach, and passionate presentations, grounded by wisdom, expertise, and humor, have earned him the patronage of many reputed operations and business schools internationally. They include, among others, IBM, BP, PwC, Toyota, Emirates, VW, Tata Group of Companies, Reserve Bank of India, Indian Institute of Management, Fujitsu, Siemens. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
Namaste. And with that, I leave you to talk to us about happiness. That's your topic.
Thank you.
I leave the good podium to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Hamsha. As you know, the topic today is habits of highly happy people. If you analyze our life, one of the things that we are continuously chasing after, anything that we do or we avoid doing, is only to find this elusive happiness. It is elusive because everybody is chasing it and we never come across anybody who actually found it. Now, when I say that, we all do experience relative happiness, spasms of happiness. Now, we are talking about happiness that is sustainable, that is lasting. So, what are the characteristics or habits of people who are able to experience happiness that is sustainable and lasting? Now, these few characteristics that I am going to talk to you, it is not the daily habits that we go through as a routine. Now, these characteristics that I am talking to you about are the psychological traits, the mental conditions of people who are really happy. They may not have material possessions or wealth and riches, or they may have it. They also have difficulties and challenges, problems that any one of us go through, perhaps more. They do have all kinds of pressure, domestic challenges, business problems, children challenges, everything, but still you find them able to maintain a fair level of serenity, equanimity, and these kind of mental temperament. So, what are those characteristics? Now, first of all, what is happiness? What do we understand by happiness? We are all chasing that, aren't we? What is happiness? What do we understand by happiness? Any thoughts?
To be in a state of joy, elated.
To be in a state of joy. Then you give me another word. Then what is this joy? It is
Agile, lively.
See, first of all, sorry.
Your wish fulfillment.
Fulfillment. Okay. Now, happiness is a mental condition. Happiness is a state of mind, regardless of what happens externally. And it is not dependent upon what circumstances are. In fact, first of all, we have a misconception that happiness is an effect of having something. that is not true. Happiness is not a result, it is not an effect of having success or wealth of joy, it is not that. Happiness has no cause, happiness is a state of being. It is not affected by any kind of material acquisition or possessions. It is not an effect. So, there is in fact strictly speaking there is no reason to be happy. Happiness is, that is our original condition. Happiness is our original nature, that is our essential nature, but we do not know that. Since we are ignorant about it, we are chasing for happiness in the external world. One philosopher expressed it very nicely. He said, looking for happiness in the external world is like a blind man looking for a black cat in a dark room which is not there. First of all, blind man is looking for a black cat. Where is he looking? In a dark room, and actually it is not there. So, this happiness that we are pursuing or chasing after externally is impossible to find it. In fact, Arthur Schopenhauer, a great German philosopher, said it is difficult to find happiness within one's own self, but it is impossible to find it anywhere else. It is difficult to find happiness within one's own self, but it is impossible to find it anywhere else. And yet, most people in the world are looking for happiness everywhere else except within. No doubt it is not that easy to find it. So, in this pursuit of happiness, the first thing that we need to understand is that the more we seek happiness in the external world, the problems tend to multiply. It is very strange, but it is true. You know, when we are unhappy, what we do invariably is that we try to make changes outside, we try to make corrections outside, and in the process of making corrections outside, every solution is actually a creation of a new problem. I repeat, in this chase for happiness, we are trying to find solutions outside. The truth is that the more you find solutions outside, every solution that you find is actually creation of a new problem. We do not realize that. As a result, our problems multiply. You know, there is an interesting story. Once there was a horse in the forest. This horse was constantly persecuted by the deer with its antlers. It constantly poked the horse, and it was a nuisance. And the horse was very, very dejected, annoyed, and the horse came across a hunter in the forest. And the horse approached the hunter and said, listen, I see that you are holding a bow and arrow with you, can you help me? I can try, said the hunter. And the horse said, there is a deer in the forest who is constantly disturbing my life, it is a constant menace for my life, it is constantly poking me with the antlers, with the horns. So, can you save myself from the disturbances? And the hunter said, okay, take me exactly where the deer is. So, the horse took the hunter exactly where the deer was, and it did not take much time for the hunter to shoot the deer down. It shot the deer and killed it, and the horse took the hunter on its back and left exactly where he was picked up from. And as the horse was thanking and saying goodbye to the hunter, and said, listen, before you go, you seem to be a very good vehicle. Now that I saved your life from the disturbances, you must do me a favor, you must carry me all over, because I got to walk all the places, you must carry me on your back. The horse saved itself from the challenges of the deer, but it stuck with a permanent problem with a hunter on its back. That is the way with our life. In the process of finding happiness in the external world, we try to correct anything, and in the process of correcting, it creation of a new problem. In fact, that is what the humanity has come to. We go on making changes outside, and so much of technology came in and we do not know where to stop, isn't it? And the technology has advanced so much that it is actually threatening the very existence of humanity, isn't it? Whether it is the climatic changes and all kinds of. So, therefore, what is the source of happiness? Happiness is arrived, or happiness is gained through changing our thinking process. It is not an acquisition, it is not in possession. Sustainable happiness, in fact, there is a saying that if you want to be happy for 1 hour, take a nap. If you want to be happy for 1 day, go for picnic. If you want to be happy for 1 week, go for holiday. If you want to be happy for 1 month, get married. If you want to be happy for 1 year, inherit a fortune. Ask the people who actually inherit the fortune. If you want to be happy for a lifetime, make other people's happy. Now, that brings us to the first habit of happy people. What is the first characteristic? What is the most important habit of happy people? That is, they are always seeking opportunities to give happiness to the other people. There is no other way to find happiness except making other people happy. When you continuously trying to find happiness by using or taking advantages of other people, or courting all kind of materialistic sensual pleasures from the external world, remember, sense enjoyment, materialistic pleasures as a diminishing value. Happiness is temporary, but when we are always thinking about, or when we are always seeking opportunity to make other people happy, that is the way happiness comes to us. When you are pursuing happiness on the basis of making other people happy, in other words, keep other people's happiness as the foundation of your life, they are the people who are experiencing sustainable, lasting happiness. If you do not understand philosophy, take statistics. You will never find one selfish person happy, no matter how much wealth, success, contacts, anything that he has got. And you will never find one unselfish person unhappy. Unselfish, what I mean is that unselfish people are always thinking about the larger interest of people, thinking about the other people's comfort and conveniences as well. The premises of our happiness should be other people's happiness. So, when we are continuously thinking about other people's benefit, sometimes we cannot make everybody happy. It is impossible. But if we are putting in effort and wishing welfare of other people, we are constantly thinking about the welfare of the other people, then one of the very important law of the universe functions, that is the law of reciprocity. According to the law of reciprocity, what you wish for the other people, you get it. What you genuinely wish for the other people, you get it. If you are continuously wishing peace, happiness, contentment and success for the other people, you are bound to be successful. If you want to attract happiness to yourself, you cannot experience happiness by wishing unhappiness for the other people. Now, when I say wishing unhappiness for the other people, you might say nobody wish unhappiness for the other people, but we do unconsciously. When you are wishing unhappiness for the other people, that is what we call envy. What is envy? Envy is when you are unhappy because other people's success and happiness. You know, envious people love success, but they hate successful people. The moment they find somebody else is more successful than them, they become envious, unhappy. That brings our unhappiness. Whereas, when we continuously wish happiness, you know, there is a Sanskrit verse which says, Sada Sarvatra Sarvabhuteshu Anugraha Buddhi. which translated means sada at all time, sarvatra at all places, sarva bhudeshu all beings, anugraha buddhi, which means wishing welfare. We cannot find happiness, we cannot experience pleasure at the expense of other animals' pain and suffering. That will only multiply our pain and suffering, isn't it? You all understand that there are millions upon millions of animals in the cattle farms and poultry farms that go through hell just for the momentary pleasures of our tongue. How can we as human beings be happy if our pleasure and happiness is based upon other animals' pain and suffering? It is impossible to find happiness. Our pain only multiplies. That is what we call the law of karma. The law of karma is based on law of cause and effect phenomena. The whole universe is based upon the cause effect phenomena. If our enjoyment and pleasure is founded upon other people's or other animals' suffering, it will only multiply our pain, although it might give momentary pleasure. So, therefore, what is the first habit of highly happy people? They are always thinking about other people's happiness. In the process, one becomes happy. That is where the sustainable happiness comes. You know, one of the ancient prayer, wherein the Indian tradition, we continuously chant the mantra, isn't it? When we conclude the prayer, what is the mantra that we chant? Om Shanti, of course, but before that? That's it. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Now that samasta loka sukhino bhavantu, when we chant, it is a reminder at the conclusion of the prayer. The prayer does not stop there, and the prayer concludes by reminding us that constantly think about other people's happiness. When we continuously think about the welfare of the world, you cannot but be happy. No matter what kind of difficulties and challenges you go through, no matter what kind of problems that you go through, problems will be there. Life cannot be without problems. If I were to give you a definition of life, what is life? Life is a continuous solutions to problems. Where there are no problems, there is no life. You cannot find happiness by reducing the number of problems, impossible. You cannot say one day all my problems are solved, I will be happy, impossible, because the more solving problems is like pushing pumpkin in a swimming pool. Imagine you throw a half a dozen pumpkin in your swimming pool, all right, and keep pushing each pumpkin into the water. When you push one pumpkin down, by the time you leave this and push the other one, this will come up, isn't it? And you push this down and look at the third one, that problems are like that. We think, okay, once I have this problem solved, I will be happy, and you work hard and solve it, then another comes up. I'm not saying you should not work on reducing the problem, but that will never ever get us happiness. You continue solving the problem, but in the process, ask ourselves, am I genuinely wishing welfare and happiness of the other people? If not, make that as a habit every day. Before you leave home in the morning to work, make that affirmation, all right. And where do we start? Start with the person that you hate, if you have somebody that you hate, and it is very unlikely that none of us has got somebody that you do not hate. Keep that person in your mind and genuinely wish peace and happiness for the other person, and you will be amazed to see how a deep satisfaction, contentment that you experience. Right? So, wishing welfare of other people, the first habit of highly happy people. To the extent we wish peace and happiness to the other people, to that extent we are bound to be happy. In fact, the law of reciprocity comes exponentially. You sow the wind, you reap the whirlwind. If you wish, if you sow unhappiness to the other people, the unhappiness that you receive is not in the same proportion, multiple proportion. So, the first habit is, are we focusing upon making the other people happy? The second habit of highly happy people is that they continuously count their blessing and entertain a deep sense of gratitude. When we are not counting our blessing and saturating our mind with a spirit of gratitude, an attitude of gratitude, a spirit of thankfulness, what happens is our mind forgets our blessings. And then what does it do? It always think about one or two things that we do not have. Now, if you actually analyze in our life, at any given time, the blessings that we have is much more than one or two things that we are denied. And yet, our mind will think about one thing that we do not have and absolutely oblivious of thousands of other blessings that we have. And when we are forgetting the blessing, that is called ingratitude. Ingratitude, one of the atrocious sin. William Shakespeare, in his play Julius Caesar, he says, ingratitude more strong than traitors' arms quite vanquished him. He is saying, to be ungrateful, especially towards a benefactor, is the most atrocious crime. So, how do we start practicing the attitude of gratitude? Count your blessings. You know, every one of us are blessed with numerous blessings, countless, and some of the most essential, some of the most important aspect of our life that are very crucial for our existence comes free, isn't it? Are we aware of it? Very often not. If we ask you, did you ever think of paying your oxygen bill? No. We will realize how costly it is, God forbid, if you were admitted in the hospital, and as you are discharging and when you receive the hospital, that is when you realize how expensive just to breathe. From the time we are born till now, and will continue to breathe oxygen, if you were to put price tag on it, none of us can afford it. You will not be able to afford it. Somebody provides it, isn't it? Who provides it? You might say God, then you tell me what God is. Or you might say, doesn't nature provides? Trees absorb carbon dioxide and give out oxygen, don't you know that? But who gives that power to the trees to convert carbon dioxide into oxygen? I do not know. There seems to be some supreme intelligence, there seems to be some supreme power beautifully orchestrating the entire cosmos. To that supreme intelligence, my gratitude, my salutation, that is what we call true prayer. Prayer is not beggary. Prayer is not demanding, prayer is not asking. There are two types of prayer. There are two types of praying. One is P-R-E-Y, the other one is P-R-A-Y. Those people go to the place of worship when they pray. What we do not realize that we are actually praying P-R-E-Y. We are actually demanding, God give me this and God give me that. That is the height of gratitude. Not realizing there are so many blessings we have already been given, isn't it? So, when we are ignorant about the blessings that we have and continue to demand on things that we do not have, that is gratitude. So, happy people are always those who continuously count their blessings and they appreciate the blessing that we have. Human mind, because of our own selfishness, we do not appreciate that. See, it is not only, there are numerous things, the environment, the atmosphere, the atmospheric pressure, the temperature, the gravitational force. There are numerous laws without which you and me cannot live. Now, who maintains it? Let me ask you, let us say law of gravity, we take it for granted, do not we? If the law of gravity stops functioning, what will happen? The law of gravity stops functioning, what will happen? Nothing?
Calamity on earth. Chaos.
What kind of chaos? What kind of chaos? Nothing will be stationary, correct? Absolutely, there is nothing. You might say, well, you and me won't be able to sit here. Not that. Numerous. Even our physical body, the fluid level in the body will not be maintained. I am talking about one law that we are taking for granted. Similarly, there are hundreds of laws functioning in the universe which we take it for granted. So, that is in the external, see, according to the change of season, the seasons keeps changing, right. Now, according to the change of season, nature provides you with fruits and vegetable that is most appropriate in that season, isn't it. Ideally, for healthy living, we ought not to consume fruit and vegetable that is off season. Today, the transportation is so convenient, in winter you get summer fruit, in summer you get winter fruit. That is not the way universe is designed. In summer season, you are supposed to consume summer fruits and vegetables, similarly winter, all right. So, according to the change of season, this happens, but did you ever think of the beautiful harmonious orchestration of the universe? We do not do that. And not only that, your inner engineering, your inner self, there are numerous functions in the body taking place. If any one of them fail, we will not be able to live happily. So, count those blessings and thank the providence. That is what is called prayer, P-R-A-Y. So, when we go to our place of worship, instead of demanding, instead of asking, you express your gratitude. So, when you express your gratitude, what happens is the law of appreciation happens. What is the law of appreciation? That is, whatever you appreciate appreciates. I repeat, whatever you actually appreciate in your life, it actually appreciates. When you continuously appreciating the blessings, you will find you will attract more and more blessings towards you. There is an important law that we need to understand. This is what I will call the law of focus. The law of focus states that whatever you focus, it will come to you. You can't escape it. We have the power of imagination. The anxiety uses the power of imagination and keep focusing upon the problems, all right. And the same power of imagination can be used to focus upon the blessings, good things that is happening to us. So, ask ourselves, what are we focusing upon? Are we continuously focusing upon the problem, difficulties and challenges? If you go on focusing upon the problems and difficulties and challenges, remember the law of thought that as you think, so you become. You will find more and more problems coming towards you. Whereas, if you go on focusing upon the blessings, positive thing that is happening to us, you will attract positive thing towards you. You will attract positive people towards you. You will attract positive situation, positive circumstance, benevolent environment situation. That is the law of life. You can't change it, because our life is created by our thoughts. Count our blessing, gratitude. And when the attitude of gratitude, when the spirit of thankfulness matures in your mind, when the attitude of gratitude is saturated in your mind, what follows thereafter is the next habit of happy people. They always live a life of giving, serving, sacrificing. The happiest of people in the world are the givers. When you meet a person, no matter who it is, you can either think in terms of what can I get out of the person, or you can think in terms of what can I give it to him. Takers are never happy, givers are happy. See, when you realize that I have taken from the universe, I have taken from nature, I have taken from the society, I have taken from the government, I have taken from the family, from the parents, from any sources that I have taken. So, we are always at the have been at the receiving end, we have been taking. And if you are unaware of what you have taken, that amounts to stealing. Whereas, when you are acutely aware of what you have received, and that thought of reception, what you receive, when it gets saturated, you begin to think in terms of what can I give it back. Now, when we talk about giving, the first thing that we think about is money. We do not need to have money to give, because people might argue that I have not been blessed with enough money. It is not. The money is one small thing that we can give. There are so many other things that we can give, is not it? See, money, if you can afford to give money, is the easiest thing to do. But there are much more deeper and the subtler aspect that we can give. There are 4 types of giving, 4 levels of charity. The first one, or the lowest type of giving, is when we give material objects which money can buy. There are a lot of people who are engaged in a lot of charitable work, great deed they do, phenomenal, very, very admirable indeed. But their giving limits to the material objects, meaning they raise money, buy clothes for poor people, they give medicine for sick people, they give food for hungry, home for homeless. All that is fantastic, no doubt, we need to do that. But they start with that and they end with that. So, when we give food, clothing, medicine, etc., all that is appeals to our body, that is material gift. It is called dravya yajna in Sanskrit. That is the easiest thing that we do. Of course, we got to continue doing it, but then there are subtler form of giving. Far superior than dravya yajna, material giving, is tapo yajna, is when we are able to give our body, our physical body, physical labor. See, if you can afford it to write a check and give for charity, it does not really give a pinch, is not it? But for us to take time off, you are a very, very busy person, to take time off and physically go to a set of people who are in need of it and spend time with them, your physical presence, physical labor, that requires much deeper sense of sacrifice. Today, the technology has developed so much so, we can give not only time and money, we can give our body. Organ can be given, blood can be given. There are many people who are very, very benevolent, very, very charitable. When it comes to giving their body, they are not able to. Not they are able to, they do a lot of charity, giving food, clothing, money, etc. Far superior than giving material gift is giving the body itself. And far superior than tapo yajna, or giving physical labor and the physical body, is what we call yoga yajna, giving emotions and knowledge. To give love is far more difficult than giving money. There are people who goes to hospitals, orphanages, they actually sit and spend time with the poor people, give them emotion. There are orphans, they do not have the family members, no parents, etc. And for them, they never tasted what it is to receive unconditional love. So, when you go and give love unconditionally, that actually touches their soul. When you give food and clothing, it only touches their body. If you are able to touch their soul, remember, when the soul is satisfied, the body does not even crave for. And then intellectual giving, knowledge. When you give knowledge, that impact much more people, isn't it? And the highest form of giving is when you help the other people to grow spiritually. That is called swadhyaya jnana yajna, wherein you help the other people to grow spiritually. There is no better form of charity. When you evolve spiritually, the very presence itself become a charity for the other people. That is why many sages and saints and philosophers, etc., prophets, they reach their abode of peace, the inner self, and the very existence become a service to humanity. So, attitude of gratitude leads to giving when you think benevolently. Now, you might say, well, I can't afford money, I do not have time, I do not have emotion, but even then you do not have to meet people sitting in your house, sitting there, you can send benevolent thoughts towards the other people. That takes nothing. Right? When you meet a person, maybe a rank outsider, you do not know the person for a bar of soap, but when you meet the person, send a blessing, send a benevolent thought. May he be happy, may she be happy, may she be peaceful. That takes nothing except a charitable dispensation from our mind, from our personality. So, when you continuously send blessings to the other people, that is the basis of happiness, charity. Charity is not only giving wealth, money, time, etc., to give, to wish well for the other people, as I mentioned to you the law of reciprocity earlier. So, happy people genuinely wish happiness for the other people, they continuously count blessings and maintain an attitude of gratitude, and gratitude, when it is matures, you cannot but live a life of giving, serving, sacrifice wherever there is an opportunity. And then another very important characteristic, psychological trait of happy people is forgiveness. Every one of us sometime or the other have been affected or harmed by other people's behavior, sometimes consciously, unconsciously or unconsciously, sometimes intentionally or unintentionally. Whatever way, if you think other people have done harm to you, what is your thought process towards them? Are you continuously entertaining, harboring, entertaining revenge? You are, if you are sowing the seeds of pain and suffering. It is very easy to entertain revenge. You know, sometimes if somebody has done really atrocious sin, atrocious harm towards you, you feel the revenge, you know, that if you get him in my hand, I like to, you know, crush him, that feeling. And you go on entertaining that, right? You are actually sowing the seed of your suffering, pain and suffering. Whereas, to genuinely understand the situation and begin to look at the situation from the other person's point of view, you put yourself in the other person's shoe, then you realize that if you were in the same situation, you will do the same thing. Since you are not in the same situation, you think that other person has done harm to you, isn't it? So, how do we forgive? Put yourself in the other person's shoe. Forgiveness can be practiced only by people with strong character. Weak people can never forgive. Weak people will always take revenge, the slightest of opportunity. Forgiveness is tested. If somebody has done harm to you and you have an opportunity to take revenge, you have the ability to get back at that person, you have the capacity, you have the resources, you have the opportunity, and the opportunity is available, and yet you say no to that person. That is forgiveness. Supposing you are feeling the grudge inside and you did not get an opportunity and you do not have the ability to take revenge, and then to say I forgive, that is no meaning. You may still do that, but even when you have the opportunity to refuse to take revenge, that is forgiveness. Mark Twain says, forgiveness is the fragrance that a violet releases as the fruit crushes it. You know, when you take a violet flower, when you crush it with your hand, it actually makes the hand fragrant, isn't it? That is what people who forgive do, you know, like Jesus Christ did. The prophet was nailed all over the body, isn't it? Hanging on the cross. And he uttered the famous statement dripping with forgiveness. He said, Father, forgive them, they know not what they do. Yes, if you are nailed all over the body on the cross, you need to be a Christ to forgive. But none of us here go through not even 10% of the pain that he went through, isn't it? It is not difficult if you are able to understand, the ability to look at the situation from the other people. See, you forgive not because sometimes the other people may not deserve forgiveness. You might argue, fair enough, other people may not deserve forgiveness, but you deserve peace, don't you? So, you forgive not because other people deserve forgiveness, because you actually deserve peace, isn't it? You deserve happiness. So, therefore, you gather mental strength and wish genuinely happiness for that person, and then you find your life improves. On the other hand, when you continuously entertain revenge, revenge is, the definition of revenge is when you wish pain and suffering for the other people, when you wish pain and suffering to the very same person who hurt you. And remember, when you wish pain and suffering even to the person who hurt you, pain will come back to us. Law of reciprocity. The fourth habit of highly happy people is that they are able to forgive because they have the inner strength that my happiness not depend upon other people's pain and suffering. My happiness is depend upon how I feel about the other people. Lastly, the fifth habit of highly happy people is that they are not dependent upon other people's opinion. When we are continuously dependent upon what other people think about me, what my neighbor think about me, what my colleague think about me, you will be tortured. As one philosopher said, you will be tortured like captives in hell. Continuous stress, and we all go through that. What will my neighbor think about? Many things that we do, not because we want to do it, because we want to impress the other people, isn't it? We do things thinking that, okay, what will the other people, whether it is you are building a house and what type of house are you building, whether you are buying a car and what kind of car you are buying, whether you are buying a clothing and what kind of clothing you are buying, what brand of clothing you are buying, all that is dependent upon what other people think about you, isn't it? When you are dependent upon other people's opinion or what other people think about you, that is what we call status. Today it is all about status. Status is when you buy things that you do not need with the money that you do not have to impress people that you do not like. We try to impress. See, the truth is that when you are dependent upon other people's opinion, we always want to impress the other people, and when you go on thinking about impressing the other people, remember that nobody in the world is impressed. You can never ever impress anybody, because there are only two types of people. One set of people are people of substance, people of character. They are not worried about what clothes you wear. They are not worried about what car you drive. They are not worried about what house you live. They are not worried about what brand. They don't even worry whether you wear any clothes at all. They will x-ray through and find out what is your character. You can't impress them by the external paraphernalia. There will be another set of people who will be impressed by your what you wear, what you drive, etc., but they are the people who are actually envious about you. They are the people who actually work your own downfalls. Who are we impressing? Happy people, of course, they do respect other people's opinion. I don't mean to say that they are so arrogant they couldn't care less what other, that's not what I am saying. They are not dependent upon other people's opinion. When you are dependent upon other people's opinion, we get into what we call as an ego-induced greed. Ego-induced greed is when you feel, I am because how much I have, who I am because what I have. Happy people, they are not dependent upon other people's opinion, because everybody has something to say about you, isn't it? We cannot do things depending upon what other people do. Once there was a father son duo was traveling from village to village on a long distant destination. They were traveling with a donkey, right? And it so happened that the father was riding the donkey and the son was walking along the donkey. And when they reached the village, people looked at them and they passed a comment. The comment was, look at this father, how selfish he is. He is riding on the back and he is making the young son walk. That is cruel. And when they heard the comment, they decided halfway through, before they reached the next village, the father got off the donkey, he made the son sit on it. And when they reached the next the village looked at him and said, how cruel that young boy is. Look at the old father is walking and he is riding on the horse. They heard that comment. And before they reached the next destination, what they did is, both of them got off to the back of the donkey. And when they reached the destination, the villagers looked at them and said, how cruel these two people are. Look at the donkey, that poor animal is suffering, them riding on the back. And they heard about it, they are right. And before they reached the next destination, both of them got off the donkey and they started walking along with the donkey. And people looked at them and said, how stupid these people are. They have a donkey to ride on and both of them are walking. And then they decided, okay, we will carry the donkey. Both of them started carrying the donkey. When they reached the next village, people looked at them, how stupid these people are. They have a donkey to ride on, instead they are carrying the donkey. And what I am trying to say is that if we continuously depend upon other people's opinion, all right, anything that we do or we do not do, people will have a comment. Happy people respect other people's view, they respect other people's opinion, but they are not dependent upon it. They do not make changes in life based on what other people think. So, these are some of the habits of highly happy people. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you. We really enjoyed that. And
Thank
from
you.
everyone from Acton TV, bye-bye till we meet again.
Thank you.
From your host, Hamsha Naidu.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.